I'm Malcolm Roberts, and I'm here in Goondiwindi with Sam Colton, the Managing Director of Goondiwindi Cotton, and Dick Siddles, who's been a long-time irrigation farmer here in northern New South Wales, southern Queensland. And Sam, we know that this is not the most severe drought ever, quite a long way from being the most severe drought, but it is a severe drought. What's the impact?
Well, the impact is that we haven't got enough water. The irrigation industry hasn't got enough water. I mean, what we should be doing is we should be at this particular point in time growing fodder crops, which is an offshoot to cotton. We should be in a rotational basis like we used to do.
So 1 year cotton, 1 year fodder crop.
Correct, that's right. We're not growing the fodder crops anymore. We're only growing our traditional crop, which is our most profitable crop, which is cotton. We should be in our rotations growing fodder crops, and we should be we underwrite the rest of the dryland community. I mean, the beacon is talking. We underwrite it, like this town. We underwrite it. I mean, but since the Murray-Darling Basin has come into line, I mean, here 10 years ago, our expectancy of water has just gone down and down and down.
So that's an interesting
drought.
That's an interesting point. I hadn't realised that the health of the irrigation communities determines how much fodder crops are grown, which determines the health of the non-irrigated graziers.
That's right, because instead of bringing it from Western Australia or South Australia, we could be producing it here. It's only between the valleys that we could be keeping all the dryland stock alive.
And I know you feel passionately about this, Dick.
Yes, well, the thing we've got to look at from our Australia, we've got a dry country. We've got very good land, very good farming opportunities.
Now,
but
some areas with high water.
It's quite dry.
Yeah.
And we've got a big river system all over, all going down either off the ranges or the other way. And we've hardly got any dams in any of it to hold that water back. Now, what used to happen hundreds of years ago, every time it rained, it went whoosh like that, and it went down the river, and that was the end of it, and everything got dry again. And we've got an opportunity, and we've started doing it, of storing that water and releasing it when it's useful to grow crops and to continue to wet the river. In spite of the fact that you hear a lot of stories about, oh, well, there's no water going down the river because we put the dams in. That's not right. Because what occurs now is that if we need water down the river, we can do it without any trouble out of a dam. But we don't pull the plug and let the dam all run down the river and into the ocean. We let it go down and do a certain amount of work on the river system, keeping it natural. Because the idea of the environment is not to undermine the environment. We don't want to multiply it by 10 times and then find we've got no industry, no way of keeping our country alive, and no way of even looking after our population, which is growing dramatically. And half our annual production in Australia is the rural industry, and it's seriously affected by the amount of water that can be applied to grow crops and support communities all over our western areas and our regional areas.
That's right. And what gets up my note? Well, let me ask you a question. Who's the best person to look after the land? The owner of the land, or some bureaucrat in Canberra, Sydney or Brisbane?
Naturally, it's the owner of the land. I mean, our company's been here for 5 generations. I mean, we learned about looking after the land and working with nature when you got your first burr in your foot. I mean, you soon learn to deal with Mother Nature all the time, and as soon as you buck Mother Nature, well, then you've got a real problem.
Yeah, and the reason for that is because if the farmer wrecks his or her land, then that's your retirement gone, that's your kids' future gone, that's your resale value gone.
Yeah.
Whereas someone in Brisbane or Sydney or Melbourne, a bureaucrat who's never been out here or come out here superficially, they wear no consequences. So what we've got is a bunch of full-bellied, fat-walleted greens running this country. And then we've got, because they actually dictate the policy to the tight old parties. So we've got people in ignorance saying we can't build dams when what we need is more dams.
Well, when we make a mistake, we don't get paid. When they make a mistake, they do get paid.
Yeah.
It's
There
as
you have
simple
it.
as that. And that's why you got to learn to live with nature.
And one of the reasons why we get everybody coming in from overseas and buying our land is because the average Australian farmer has to go out and borrow money, which is going to pay interest that's helping other people in Australia who aren't on the land. And so he loses most of his profit on funding it. So the reason it looks attractive to this foreigner coming in is that he's got the money. So he's not paying interest. So he doesn't have to run a business like our farmers do, or any of our other businesses, not just our farmers. So therefore you wonder why they go and buy it. But once he's bought it, he doesn't give a damn what happens to anybody. And we'll find that
So
out.
what your message is let's have Aussie farmers looking after the Aussie environment.
Absolutely.
And stop these full-bellied, fat-walleted greens from destroying the country. You want to restore Australia, bring back reality.
We just like them to listen to us.
There you go.